The Starship Odyssey glided silently through the inky blackness of space, its sleek hull reflecting the distant starlight. Inside the bridge, Captain Elena Reeves stood with her hands clasped behind her back, her dark eyes fixed on the viewscreen before her. The image showed a planet unlike any they had encountered before, a swirling mass of purple and gold, with rings of crystalline debris encircling its equator. Sensors are picking up signs of advanced technology on the surface, Captain, reported Science Officer Zara Chen, her fingers dancing across the holographic display. But there's something odd about the energy signatures. They don't match anything in our database. Elena nodded, a mixture of excitement and apprehension coursing through her. This was why they had journeyed so far from Earth, to make new discoveries, to push the boundaries of human knowledge. Any signs of life? Affirmative, Zara replied, her brow furrowing. But it's strange. I'm only detecting female life signs, billions of them. The bridge fell silent as the implications of this information sank in. It was First Officer Marcus Drake who finally broke the silence. An entire planet of women. How is that possible? Elena shook her head, her mind racing with possibilities. We don't know enough about their biology or society to make any assumptions. For all we know, their species might reproduce asexually. She turned to face her crew, her expression serious. This is exactly the kind of first contact scenario we've trained for. We need to approach this carefully and respectfully. As the Odyssey entered orbit around the mysterious planet, Elena assembled her away team. Along with herself, she selected Zara for her scientific expertise, Marcus for security, and Dr. Aisha Patel, the ship's xenobiologist. As they prepared to board the shuttle, Elena reminded them of the gravity of their mission. Remember, we're representing not just Earth, but the entire human race. Our actions here could have far-reaching consequences for interstellar relations. Stay alert, stay respectful, and above all, stay curious. The shuttle descended through the planet's atmosphere, the view outside changing from the star-studded blackness of space to a sky awash in hues of lavender and gold. As they broke through the cloud cover, they gasped collectively at the sight below. Sprawling cities of crystal and light spread across the landscape, connected by ribbons of what appeared to be flowing energy. Vehicles that seemed to defy gravity zipped between towering spires, while in the distance, vast fields of strange, luminescent plants stretched to the horizon. "It's beautiful," Esha breathed, her dark eyes wide with wonder. The shuttle touched down in a clearing just outside one of the cities. As the team stepped out onto the alien soil, they were immediately struck by the planet's unique properties. The air was thick with a sweet, intoxicating scent, and the ground beneath their feet seemed to pulse with a faint, rhythmic energy. They had barely taken a few steps when they saw them, the inhabitants of this world. A group of tall, slender figures approached, their movements graceful and synchronized. As they drew closer, the humans could see that they were indeed all female, or at least appeared so by human standards. Their skin shimmered with an iridescent quality, and their eyes were large and almond-shaped, filled with an intelligence that seemed both familiar and utterly alien. One of the aliens stepped forward, raising a hand in what seemed to be a gesture of greeting. When she spoke, her voice was melodic, almost musical, and to the humans' surprise, they could understand her words. "Welcome, travelers from the stars. We are the Zarleen, and this is our world, Harmony. We have long awaited your arrival." Elena stepped forward, mirroring the alien's gesture. "I am Captain Elena Reeves of the Starship Odyssey, representing the United Earth Alliance. We come in peace and in the spirit of friendship and scientific exchange." The Zareen leader tilted her head, her expression unreadable. "We know of your kind, Elena Reeves. We have observed your species from afar for many cycles. You are interesting to us, but also potentially dangerous." Marcus tensed at these words, his hand instinctively moving towards his weapon, but Elena shot him a warning glance. This was a delicate situation, and any show of aggression could be disastrous. "We assure you we mean no harm," Elena said carefully. "We are explorers and scientists seeking to learn about new worlds and cultures." The Zarian leader's gaze swept over the team, lingering on Marcus. Her expression hardened almost imperceptibly. "Your words are fair, Elena Reeves, but we see that you bring males among you. This is problematic." Elena frowned, caught off guard by this statement. "I don't understand. Is there some taboo against men in your culture?" The alien's voice took on a colder tone. "Men are not welcome on Harmony. Their presence disrupts the balance we have worked so hard to achieve. If you wish to continue diplomatic relations, the male must return to your ship immediately." The humans exchanged shocked glances. This was an unprecedented situation, one that none of their training had prepared them for. Elena's mind raced, trying to find a diplomatic solution that wouldn't compromise their mission or their principles. "Perhaps there has been some misunderstanding," she began carefully. "In our society, men and women work together as equals. Marcus is a valued member of our team, and his skills and knowledge are essential to our mission." The Zarian leader's eyes narrowed. "Your ways are not our ways, Elena Reeves. We have eliminated the need for males in our society. Their presence brings only chaos and conflict. This is non-negotiable. The male leaves, or you all leave." As tension mounted between the two groups, a distant rumble shook the ground. The Zarian looked to the sky, their expressions changing to ones of alarm. "The pulse approaches," the leader said urgently. "You must come with us now, for your own safety. But the male cannot enter our city." Elena found herself faced with an impossible choice: abandon a crew member, or potentially lose this historic opportunity for first contact. As the rumbling grew louder and the sky began to darken ominously, she realized that their time for debate had run out. "Marcus," she said quickly, "return to the shuttle and maintain communication with the Odyssey. Report our situation and stand by for further orders." Marcus looked like he wanted to protest, but years of military discipline won out. He nodded tersely and jogged back to the shuttle, casting wary glances at the darkening sky. As soon as Marcus was out of sight, the Zarian ushered the remaining humans towards the city. They moved with urgent grace, their long strides forcing the humans to almost run to keep up. Just as they reached the outskirts of the crystal metropolis, a blinding flash of energy pulsed across the sky, followed by a wave of force that made the air itself seem to ripple. Inside the city's protective barrier, Elena, Zara, and Iso watched in awe as the pulse washed over the landscape, causing the strange plants to glow even brighter and the crystal structures to resonate with an otherworldly hum. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once, a reminder that they were truly in an alien world, subject to forces they didn't yet understand. As the pulse faded and calm returned, Elena turned to their Zarian hosts, her expression a mixture of wonder and determination. "I believe we have much to discuss," she said firmly. "About your world, your society, and the future of our relations." The Zarian leader nodded, her alien features unreadable. "Indeed we do, Elena Reeves. Indeed we do. Welcome to Harmony, a world without men." As the group moved deeper into the heart of the alien city, none of them could shake the feeling that they were stepping into a situation far more complex and potentially dangerous than they had ever imagined. The adventure had only just begun, and the true challenges and wonders of Harmony were yet to be revealed. Cultural clash. The crystal spires of the Zarian city sparkled in the alien sunlight as Elena, Zara, and Aisha followed their hosts through winding streets. The air hummed with energy, and everywhere they looked, they saw marvels of technology and biology intertwined in ways they could scarcely comprehend. "Our society is built on perfect harmony," explained Lyra, the Zarian leader who had first greeted them. "Every individual contributes to the greater whole, fulfilling their designated role without the chaos and conflict that plagued our ancestors." Zara's scientific curiosity was piqued. "How do you reproduce without males? The biological implications are fascinating." Lyra's expression softened slightly at Zara's genuine interest. We have evolved beyond the need for sexual reproduction. Our children are grown in Genesis chambers, their genetic material carefully curated to produce the optimal traits for our society. As they walked, Elena couldn't help but notice the looks of curiosity and, in some cases, outright hostility directed at them by passing Zareen. It was clear that the presence of outsiders, especially those from a mixed-gender society, was causing quite a stir. "Your civilization seems incredibly advanced," Elena observed, trying to steer the conversation towards more diplomatic grounds. "We hope to learn from you and share knowledge of our own." Laura's reply was cool. "We appreciate your interest, Elena Reeves, but you must understand that our ways are not compatible with yours. The presence of males in your society is troubling to us." Before Elena could respond, a commotion erupted nearby. A group of younger Zareen had gathered, their voices raised in what sounded like protest. To the humans' surprise, they could understand some of the words being shouted. "Let us see the outsiders. We demand to know the truth about other worlds. The elders keep us in ignorance." Laura's face hardened, and with a gesture, she summoned a group of tall, imposing Zareen who quickly dispersed the crowd. "Pay them no mind," she said to the humans. "They are misguided youth who do not yet understand the perfection of our ways." But Elena had seen something in those young faces, a hunger for knowledge, a desire for change that reminded her of humanity's own drive to explore and discover. She filed this observation away, sensing that it might be important later. As they reached a massive structure that Lyra identified as the Hall of Enlightenment, the humans were ushered into a chamber filled with shimmering holographic displays. Here, they were introduced to the Council of Elders, the governing body of Zareen society. The meeting that followed was tense and filled with cultural misunderstandings. The elders questioned the humans relentlessly about their society, their technology, and their intentions. Every mention of male contributions to human history or science was met with thinly veiled disgust or dismissal. Isa, frustrated by the Zareen's rigid thinking, finally spoke up. "With all due respect, your society seems to lack diversity of thought. In our experience, it's the interplay of different perspectives, including those between men and women, that drives innovation and progress." A ripple of shocked murmurs ran through the council chamber. One of the elders, her face etched with lines of age and wisdom, leaned forward. "You speak dangerously, young one. Our ancestors nearly destroyed themselves with such diversity. Only by eliminating the inherent conflict between genders did we achieve true peace and progress." As the debate grew more heated, Elena's communicator suddenly crackled to life. Marcus's voice, tight with urgency, came through. "Captain, we've got a situation up here. The Odyssey is detecting massive energy buildups on the planet's surface, all focused on our position. I think we might be in danger." Elena's heart raced as she realized the precariousness of their situation. They were deep in alien territory, cut off from their male crew members, and possibly under threat. She needed to act fast to ensure their safety and salvage the diplomatic mission. "Honored elders," she said, her voice carrying the authority of her command, "I respectfully request a recess in our discussions. There are matters I must attend to with my crew." The elders exchanged glances, and Elena sensed a silent communication passing between them. Finally, Lyra nodded. "You may have 1 hour, Elena Reeves, but know that you are under observation. Any attempt to rendezvous with your male crew member will be seen as a violation of our trust." As they were escorted to a private chamber, Elena gathered Zara and Isa close. "We need to tread carefully," she whispered. "Something isn't right here. Zara, I need you to analyze any data you've collected on their technology. Isa, try to gather more information about their biology and social structure. I'll attempt to negotiate for Marcus's return. We can't leave him isolated and potentially in danger." But as they began to plan, a soft voice interrupted them. "Excuse me, outsiders. I believe I can help you." They turned to see a young Zareen, her eyes bright with a mixture of fear and determination. "My name is Naya," she said quietly. And there's something you need to know about our world, something the elders don't want you to discover." Elena studied the young alien, sensing both sincerity and desperation in her manner. "Go on, Naya, we're listening." Naya glanced nervously at the door before continuing. "Our society isn't as perfect as the elders claim. There are those of us who question, who wonder about the worlds beyond our own." And she hesitated, her voice dropping to a whisper. "There are rumors of males hidden away, kept for some secret purpose." The implications of this revelation stunned the human team. If true, it meant that the Zarlian society was built on a foundation of lies, and that the danger to their mission, and to Marcus, might be greater than they had imagined. "Why are you telling us this?" Zara asked, her scientific mind already racing with the possibilities. Naya's answer was simple and heartfelt: "Because we need change, and your arrival might be the catalyst we've been waiting for." As the gravity of the situation settled over them, Elena realized that their mission had just become far more complex and far more important than a simple diplomatic exchange. They were now embroiled in the internal struggles of an alien society, walking a tightrope between oppressive leaders and a burgeoning resistance. With time ticking away and dangers lurking both on the planet's surface and in orbit, Elena knew that the decisions she made in the next few hours would not only determine the fate of her crew, but could potentially reshape the future of an entire civilization. "All right," she said, her voice low and determined. "Let's find out what's really going on in this paradise of theirs. But we do this carefully. The stakes are too high for mistakes." As they began to plan their next move, none of them could shake the feeling that they were stepping into a web of secrets and lies that had been centuries in the making. The true nature of harmony was yet to be revealed, and the path ahead was fraught with peril and possibility. A continue. Part 3. Hidden Agenda. As the human team huddled with Naya in the secluded chamber, the air thick with tension and the weight of newfound knowledge, Elena's mind raced with possibilities and potential pitfalls. They had less than an hour before the elders expected them back, and every second counted. "Naya," Elena began, her voice low and urgent, "we need more information. Where are these rumored males kept? And what purpose could the elders have for maintaining a secret male population?" The young Zarlian's luminescent eyes darted nervously to the door before she replied. "There are whispers of a hidden facility deep beneath the Genesis chambers. Some say it's for genetic research, others believe it's to maintain a diverse gene pool. But no one knows for certain. Those who ask too many questions tend to disappear." Zara's scientific curiosity was piqued. If they have the technology to reproduce without males, why keep them at all? It doesn't make sense. Unless, as she interjected, her voice thoughtful, their asexual reproduction isn't as perfect as they claim. Perhaps they're experiencing genetic degradation and need male genetic material to refresh their population. Elena nodded, the pieces starting to fall into place. Which will explain their extreme reaction to Marcus's presence. If the general population discovered that males were necessary for their survival, it could undermine the elders' authority. Naya's expression was a mixture of awe and fear. "You understand so quickly. It's taken some of us years to piece together even this much." "We need to get to that facility," Elena decided. "But first, we need to secure Marcus and the shuttle. If things go south, we'll need a quick exit strategy." Just then, Elena's communicator crackled to life again. Marcus's voice came through, tense and hushed. "Captain, I've got movement out here. Looks like they're mobilizing some kind of security force. I don't think they're coming to welcome me with open arms." Elena's heart raced. They were running out of time. "Hold your position, Marcus. We're working on a plan. Be ready to move on my signal." Turning to Naya, Elena asked, "Is there a way to get to the surface without the elders knowing? We need to reach our shuttle." Naya hesitated, then nodded. "There's a network of maintenance tunnels that run throughout the city. They're not well guarded because most Zarlian don't even know they exist. I can guide you." "Good," Elena said. "Zara, you and Aisha go with Naya. Get to the shuttle and rendezvous with Marcus. I'll stay here and keep the elders distracted. We'll maintain communication through our secure channel. Aisha looked concerned. Captain, are you sure about this? We shouldn't split up in unfamiliar territory. Elena's expression was resolute. We don't have a choice. Someone needs to keep the elders from realizing what we're up to, and as captain, that responsibility falls to me. With a final nod of understanding, the team split up. Zara and Aisha followed Naya into a hidden passage behind a shimmering wall panel, while Elena steeled herself to face the Council of Elders alone. As Elena re-entered the council chamber, she could sense the suspicion emanating from the assembled elders. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes narrowed. Where are your companions, Elena Rees? Elena met her gaze steadily. They're reviewing the data we've collected so far. I hope you don't mind. We scientists can be quite absorbed in our work. Lyra didn't look convinced, but before she could press further, Elena launched into a series of questions about Zarlian history and culture, carefully steering the conversation away from anything too controversial. Meanwhile, deep in the bowels of the city, Zara, Aisha, and Naya navigated the twisting maintenance tunnels. The passages were cramped and dimly lit, humming with the energy that seemed to permeate every aspect of Zarlian technology. These tunnels, Zara whispered as they moved, they're not just for maintenance, are they? They're escape routes. Naya nodded, impressed by Zara's perception. Built by our ancestors during more turbulent times, the elders probably think everyone's forgotten about them. As they neared the surface, Aisha's communicator picked up Marcus's signal. We're close, she murmured. But so is that security force. We'll need to time this perfectly. Back in the council chamber, Elena was finding it increasingly difficult to keep the elders occupied. Their questions were becoming more pointed, their suspicion more evident. Enough of this, one elder finally snapped. You are hiding something, outsider. Where are your companions? What are you really doing here? Elena's hand moved subtly to her communicator, ready to signal her team. I assure you, we have no hidden agenda. We came here in the spirit of peaceful exchange. Her words were cut off by a sudden commotion outside the chamber. Alarms blared, and the sound of running feet echoed through the halls. Lyra's face contorted with rage. What have you done? In that moment, Elena's communicator burst to life with Marcus's voice. Captain, we've got the shuttle secured, but we're taking heavy fire. We need to leave now. Elena's training took over. In one fluid motion, she activated her personal shield, a piece of technology the Zarlian hadn't known to confiscate, and bolted for the door. I'm sorry it had to be this way, she called back to the stunned elders. But your society is built on lies, and we can't stand by and watch. As she raced through the crystalline halls of the Zarlian city, alarms blaring around her, Elena's mind was focused on one thing: reaching her team and uncovering the truth behind this world of secrets and hidden agendas. The Zarling security forces were in close pursuit, their energy weapons sizzling past Elena as she ducked and weaved through the corridors. She could hear the hum of the shuttle's engines in the distance, growing louder with each step. Just as she burst out of the city's outer perimeter, she saw the shuttle hovering a few meters off the ground, its hatch open. Marcus was there, providing covering fire, while Zara and Aisha helped a group of young Zarlian, including Naya, board the vessel. Captain, Marcus shouted, jump. With a burst of speed, Elena leaped for the shuttle, Marcus's strong hand grasping her arm and pulling her inside. The hatch sealed shut just as a barrage of energy blasts peppered the shuttle's hull. Get us out of here, Elena ordered, and Marcus wasted no time in piloting the shuttle up and away from the surface, streaking towards the Odyssey waiting in orbit. As the adrenaline of their escape began to fade, Elena turned to the group of young Zarlian huddled in the shuttle's hold. I hope you all understand the gravity of what you've done. There's no going back now. Naya stepped forward, her eyes shining with a mixture of fear and determination. We understand, Captain, but we couldn't stay silent any longer. Our people deserve to know the truth. As the shuttle docked with the Odyssey, Elena knew that their mission had irrevocably changed. They were no longer just explorers or diplomats. They had become embroiled in the internal struggles of an alien civilization, with the potential to reshape its entire future. With the Zaryan refugees safely aboard and the ship breaking orbit, Elena gathered her senior staff in the conference room. The revelations of the past few hours hung heavy in the air as they contemplated their next move. "We've opened Pandora's box," Elena said, her voice grave. "The question now is, what do we do with what we've learned? And how do we proceed without violating our prime directive of non-interference?" As the team began to debate their options, a transmission cut through their discussion. On the view screen, the face of a Zaryan elder appeared, but not one they had met before. Her eyes held a wisdom and sadness that spoke of long-buried secrets. "Greetings, humans," she said, her voice carrying the weight of ages. "I am Selena, keeper of the true history. What you have discovered is only the beginning. The fate of our world, and perhaps yours, hangs in the balance. Are you prepared to learn the full truth of harmony?" Elena exchanged glances with her crew, seeing the same resolve mirrored in their eyes. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, in pursuit of truth and in the spirit of exploration that had brought them to this distant world. "We're ready," Elena replied, her voice steady. "Tell us everything." As Selena began to speak, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to uncover secrets that would change not just the fate of the Zaryan, but potentially the course of human history as well. The true nature of harmony was about to be revealed, and with it, a challenge that would test the very limits of human ingenuity and compassion. Rebellion rising. As Selena's holographic image flickered before them, the crew of the Odyssey listened intently, their minds reeling from the revelations being unveiled. "Our society," Selena began, her voice heavy with the weight of hidden truths, "was not always as you see it now. Centuries ago, harmony was a world much like your own, diverse, chaotic, but full of potential. Our people, both male and female, worked together to build a civilization that reached for the stars." The elder's eyes clouded with sorrow as she continued. "But we were not alone in the galaxy. We encountered a species, ancient, powerful, and driven by a singular purpose, the collection and preservation of genetic material from across the universe. They saw in us a unique evolutionary path and sought to preserve us." Elena leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "Are you saying your society was engineered by this alien species?" Selena nodded gravely. "They offered us a choice: submit to their experiment willingly or face extinction. Our leaders at the time chose submission, believing we could outsmart our captors. The aliens restructured our society, segregating males and females, and implementing the Genesis chambers to control reproduction. They wanted to observe how our species would evolve under strictly controlled conditions." Zara's scientific mind was racing. But why maintain the illusion of a solely female society? Why keep the males hidden? "Control," Selena replied simply. "By creating a mythology around the absence of males, by teaching that they were a source of chaos and destruction, the aliens ensured that our people would maintain the experiment themselves. The elders you met are not the true power on harmony. They are merely caretakers, maintaining the illusion for an audience that hasn't been present for generations." The implications of this revelation stunned the human crew into momentary silence. It was Aisha who finally spoke up, her voice tight with concern. "You said the aliens haven't been present for generations. What happened to them?" Selena's expression turned grim. "We don't know. Their monitoring stations around our planet went dark nearly a century ago. Some of us, keepers of the old knowledge, saw this as an opportunity to gradually reintroduce the truth to our people. But others, those now in power, saw it as a chance to maintain their control indefinitely." Elena's mind was whirling with the implications, and now our arrival has upset the balance. We've unknowingly triggered a powder keg of suppressed truth. Selena nodded. "Precisely. Your presence, especially that of your male crew members, threatens to unravel centuries of carefully maintained lies. The current leadership will stop at nothing to maintain their power, even if it means destroying both your ship and the dissenters among our own people. As if on cue, the ship's alarms blared to life. Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka's voice came over the intercom, tense and urgent. Captain, we're detecting multiple launch signatures from the planet's surface. Missiles, ma'am, and they're headed straight for us. Elena's training kicked in immediately. Red alert, shields up, evasive maneuvers. She turned back to Selena's hologram. I'm sorry, but we'll have to cut this short. We're under attack. Selena's eyes widened with fear. You must not let them destroy you. The future of both our peoples may depend on your survival. There is a resistance movement among our people, led by those of us who remember the old ways. If you can hold out long enough, we may be able to help you. As the transmission cut out, the Odyssey rocked with the impact of the first volley of missiles. Elena raced to the bridge, her mind already formulating strategies. Status report. She barked as she took her place in the captain's chair. Marcus, at the helm, responded without taking his eyes off his console. Shields holding at 82%, Captain. But these aren't ordinary missiles. They're adapting to our evasive patterns. Zara, who had taken her place at the science station, added, Captain, I'm detecting an energy buildup on the planet's surface. It looks like they're charging some kind of massive weapon. Rebellion rising. As Selena's holographic image flickered before them, the crew of the Odyssey listened intently, their minds reeling from the revelations being unveiled. Our society, Selena began, her voice heavy with the weight of hidden truths, was not always as you see it now. Centuries ago, Harmony was a world much like your own, diverse, chaotic, but full of potential. Our people, both male and female, worked together to build a civilization that reached for the stars. The Elder's eyes clouded with sorrow as she continued. But we were not alone in the galaxy. We encountered a species, ancient, powerful, and driven by a singular purpose, the collection and preservation of genetic material from across the universe. They saw in us a unique evolutionary path and sought to preserve us. Elena leaned forward, her brow furrowed. Are you saying your society was engineered by this alien species? Selena nodded gravely. They offered us a choice, submit to their experiment willingly or face extinction. Our leaders at the time chose submission, believing we could outsmart our captors. The aliens restructured our society, segregating males and females, and implementing the Genesis chambers to control reproduction. They wanted to observe how our species would evolve under strictly controlled conditions. Zora's scientific mind was racing. But why maintain the illusion of a solely female society? Why keep the males hidden? Control, Selena replied simply. By creating a mythology around the absence of males, by teaching that they were a source of chaos and destruction, the aliens ensured that our people would maintain the experiment themselves. The elders you met are not the true power on Harmony. They are merely caretakers, maintaining the illusion for an audience that hasn't been present for generations. The implications of this revelation stunned the human crew into momentary silence. It was Aisha who finally spoke up, her voice tight with concern. You said the aliens haven't been present for generations. What happened to them? Selena's expression turned grim. We don't know. Their monitoring stations around our planet went dark nearly a century ago. Some of us, keepers of the old knowledge, saw this as an opportunity to gradually reintroduce the truth to our people. But others, those now in power, saw it as a chance to maintain their control indefinitely. Elena's mind was whirling with the implications. And now our arrival has upset the balance. We've unknowingly triggered a powder keg of suppressed truth. Selena nodded. Precisely. Your presence, especially that of your male crew members, threatens to unravel centuries of carefully maintained lies. The current leadership will stop at nothing to maintain their power, even if it means destroying both your ship and the dissenters among our own people. As if on cue, the ship's alarms blared to life. Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka's voice came over the intercom, tense and urgent. "Captain, we're detecting multiple launch signatures from the planet's surface. Missiles, ma'am, and they're headed straight for us." Elena's training kicked in immediately. Red alert, shields up, evasive maneuvers. She turned back to Selena's hologram. "I'm sorry that we'll have to cut this short. We're under attack." Selena's eyes widened with fear. "You must not let them destroy you. The future of both our peoples may depend on your survival. There is a resistance movement among our people, led by those of us who remember the old ways. If you can hold out long enough, we may be able to help you." As the transmission cut out, the Odyssey rocked with the impact of the first volley of missiles. Elena raced to the bridge, her mind already formulating strategies. "Status report," she barked as she took her place in the captain's chair. Marcus, at the helm, responded without taking his eyes off his console. "Shields holding at 82%, Captain. But these aren't ordinary missiles. They're adapting to our evasive patterns." Zara, who had taken her place at the science station, added, "Captain, I'm detecting an energy buildup on the planet's surface. It looks like they're charging some kind of massive weapon." Elena's mind raced. They were outgunned and in unfamiliar territory. A direct confrontation wasn't an option. They needed a plan, and fast. "Yuki," she called to her tactical officer, "what if we use the planet's rings as cover? Could we lose them in the debris field?" Yuki's fingers flew over her console as she ran the calculations. "It's risky, Captain. Those rings are dense and unpredictable, but it might be our best shot at buying some time." "Do it," Elena ordered. "Marcus, take us in. Zora, I want you monitoring those energy readings. The moment that weapon fires, I want to know about it." As the Odyssey dove towards the swirling rings of crystalline debris, the pursuing missiles hot on their tail, Elena couldn't help but marvel at the irony of their situation. They had come seeking peaceful first contact and scientific discovery. Instead, they found themselves in the middle of a planetary civil war, carrying the hopes of a resistance movement they barely understood. The ship shuddered as it entered the rings, massive chunks of crystal and rock tumbling past the viewscreen. Marcus's piloting skills were put to the test as he navigated the treacherous field, the missiles exploding harmlessly against the larger pieces of debris. For a moment, it seemed they might have gained the upper hand. But then Zara's voice cut through the tension on the bridge. "Captain, the weapon is firing." A beam of intense energy sliced through the rings, vaporizing everything in its path and heading straight for the Odyssey. Elena opened her mouth to order evasive action, but before she could speak, a new voice crackled over the ship's comm system. "Odyssey, this is Resistance Leader Thora. We've taken control of a surface-to-space defense platform, transmitting coordinates now. If you can get to this position, we can provide cover fire." Elena hesitated for a split second, weighing the risks of trusting this unknown ally against the certain destruction they faced. In that moment, she made a decision that would alter the course of two civilizations. "Marcus, set a course for those coordinates. Yuki, divert all available power to the shields. We're going to thread the needle." As the Odyssey burst from the rings, debris scattering in its wake, the massive energy beam from the planet's surface weapon bore down on them. At the last possible moment, a barrage of counterfire erupted from the coordinates provided by the Resistance, intercepting the beam and causing a massive explosion that rocked both the ship and the planet below. In the aftermath of the blast, as systems stabilized and the immediate danger passed, Elena took a deep breath. They had survived, but the real challenge was just beginning. They were now irrevocably involved in the internal struggle of an alien civilization, walking a tightrope between their principles of non-interference and their moral obligation to help a people free themselves from centuries of oppression. As the Resistance hailed them again, offering sanctuary on a hidden base on one of Harmony's moons, Elena knew that the decisions she and her crew made in the coming hours would shape the destiny of not just the Zarlian, but potentially humanity as well. "Take us in," she ordered, her voice firm with resolve. "It's time we learned exactly what we've gotten ourselves into, and how we can make it right." As the Odyssey limped towards the sanctuary of the moon base, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the precipice of something monumental. The rebellion was rising, and humanity was now at its heart. Battle for freedom. The Odyssey docked at the hidden moon base, a sprawling complex carved into the rocky surface and shielded from detection by advanced cloaking technology. As Elena and her senior staff disembarked, they were greeted by a diverse group of Zarleen, both female and male. The sight of Zarleen males, previously thought to be extinct or mythical, was a stark reminder of the lies that had shaped this society for generations. Thora, the resistance leader who had saved them from certain destruction, stepped forward. Unlike the Zarleen they had encountered on the planet, Thora's bearing was that of a hardened warrior, her eyes sharp and assessing. "Welcome to Haven," she said, her voice carrying the weight of command. "We have much to discuss and little time. The attack on your ship has thrown our world into chaos. The truth is spreading, and the elders are losing control." Elena nodded gravely. "We're grateful for your help, Thora, but we need to understand exactly what's happening and how we've become involved in this conflict." Thora led them to a large command center, its walls covered in holographic displays showing real-time data from the planet below. "For centuries, we've been working to unravel the lies that bind our society," she explained. "The elders maintain power through strict control of information and technology. But with your arrival, the cracks in their facade have become chasms." One of the male Zareen, introduced as Karan, the chief scientist of the resistance, added, "Your presence proves that a society of both males and females can not only survive but thrive. It contradicts everything the elders have taught for generations." Zara, her scientific curiosity piqued, asked, "But surely your own existence proves that. How have you managed to hide an entire population of males?" Kiran's expression turned somber. "We are few, and until recently, we were scattered. Many of us were born in secret, hidden away by parents who questioned the official narrative. Others were rescued from the Genesis chambers before the elders could dispose of us." The implications of his words hung heavy in the air. Elena felt a mixture of horror and determination rising within her. "What can we do to help?" she asked, her voice firm with resolve. Thora's eyes gleamed with a fierce light. "We have a plan, but it's risky. The elders maintain control through a central network that governs everything from communication to the Genesis chambers. If we can take control of this network, we can broadcast the truth to every corner of Harmony." Marcus, ever the tactical thinker, leaned forward. "And I'm guessing this network is heavily guarded." Thora nodded. "It's located in the heart of the capital city, protected by advanced security systems and a loyal guard. A frontal assault would be suicide." "But," Kiran interjected, "with your technology and our inside knowledge, we might have a chance at infiltration." As the group began to formulate a plan, alarms suddenly blared throughout the base. A young Zareen burst into the room, her eyes wide with panic. "They found us. The elders' forces are approaching the moon." Thora sprang into action, barking orders to her people. Turning to Elena, she said, "We need to evacuate. Our contingency plan is to fall back to hidden bases on the planet's surface. Will you stand with us?" Elena exchanged glances with her crew, seeing the same determination mirrored in their eyes. This was no longer just about scientific discovery or diplomatic relations. It was about fighting for the freedom of an entire civilization. "We're with you," Elena declared. "The Odyssey and her crew are at your disposal." What followed was a frantic evacuation as resistance members and human crew worked together to load essential equipment and personnel onto a fleet of stealth shuttles. The Odyssey, still damaged from the previous attack, was hastily repaired to serve as a decoy and potential orbital support. Battle for freedom. The Odyssey docked at the hidden moon base, a sprawling complex carved into the rocky surface and shielded from detection by advanced cloaking technology. As Elena and her senior staff disembarked, they were greeted by a diverse group of Zarleen, both female and male. The sight of Zarleen males, previously thought to be extinct or mythical, was a stark reminder of the lies that had shaped this society for generations. Thora, the resistance leader who had saved them from certain destruction, stepped forward. Unlike the Zarleen they had encountered on the planet, Thora's bearing was that of a hardened warrior, her eyes sharp and assessing. "Welcome to Haven," she said, her voice carrying the weight of command. "We have much to discuss and little time. The attack on your ship has thrown our world into chaos. The truth is spreading, and the elders are losing control." Elena nodded gravely. "We're grateful for your help, Thora, but we need to understand exactly what's happening and how we've become involved in this conflict." Thora led them to a large command center, its walls covered in holographic displays showing real-time data from the planet below. "For centuries, we've been working to unravel the lies that bind our society," she explained. "The elders maintain power through strict control of information and technology. But with your arrival, the cracks in their facade have become chasms." One of the male Zareen, introduced as Karan, the chief scientist of the Resistance, added, "Your presence proves that a society of both males and females can not only survive but thrive. It contradicts everything the elders have taught for generations." Zara, her scientific curiosity piqued, asked, "But surely your own existence proves that. How have you managed to hide an entire population of males?" Curran's expression turned somber. "We are few, and until recently we were scattered. Many of us were born in secret, hidden away by parents who questioned the official narrative. Others were rescued from the Genesis chambers before the elders could dispose of us." The implications of his words hung heavy in the air. Elena felt a mixture of horror and determination rising within her. "What can we do to help?" she asked, her voice firm with resolve. Thora's eyes gleamed with a fierce light. "We have a plan, but it's risky. The elders maintain control through a central network that governs everything from communication to the Genesis chambers. If we can take control of this network, we can broadcast the truth to every corner of Harmony." Marcus, ever the tactical thinker, leaned forward. "And I'm guessing this network is heavily guarded." Thora nodded. "It's located in the heart of the capital city, protected by advanced security systems and a loyal guard. A frontal assault would be suicide." "But," Kiran interjected, "with your technology and our inside knowledge, we might have a chance at infiltration." As the group began to formulate a plan, alarms suddenly blared throughout the base. A young Zaryan burst into the room, her eyes wide with panic. "They found us. The elders' forces are approaching the moon." Thora sprang into action, barking orders to her people. Turning to Elena, she said, "We need to evacuate. Our contingency plan is to fall back to hidden bases on the planet's surface. Will you stand with us?" Elena exchanged glances with her crew, seeing the same determination mirrored in their eyes. This was no longer just about scientific discovery or diplomatic relations. It was about fighting for the freedom of an entire civilization. "We're with you," Elena declared. "The Odyssey and her crew are at your disposal." What followed was a frantic evacuation as Resistance members and human crew worked together to load essential equipment and personnel onto a fleet of stealth shuttles. The Odyssey, still damaged from the previous attack, was hastily repaired to serve as a decoy and potential orbital support. As they prepared to depart, Elena pulled her senior staff aside. "I know this goes beyond our original mission parameters," she said sullenly. "If any of you wish to remain neutral, I'll understand." But her fears were unfounded. Zara spoke for all of them when she said, "Captain, we're not just explorers. We're here to make a difference. This is our chance to do just that." With renewed determination, the combined forces of the human crew and Zaryan resistance launched from the moon base just as the Elders' ships began their bombardment. The Odyssey drew their fire, allowing the shuttles to slip past the blockade and enter Harmony's atmosphere. As they descended towards the hidden bases scattered across the planet's surface, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the scope of what they were undertaking. They were about to challenge centuries of oppression and lies, armed with nothing but the truth and their own ingenuity. The shuttles touched down in a series of hidden valleys and underground caverns. As they disembarked, Elena was struck by the diversity of the resistance forces. Young and old, male and female, scientists and warriors, all united in their desire for freedom and truth. Thora gathered the leaders, including Elena and her senior staff, in a makeshift war room. "The elders will be expecting us to lie low, to hide," she said, her voice filled with fierce determination. "Instead, we're going to take the fight to them. Tomorrow, we launch our assault on the capital." As they pored over maps and schematics, formulating their daring plan, Elena felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. They were about to attempt something that would either liberate an entire world or end in catastrophic failure. But as she looked around at the faces of both her crew and their new Zarlian allies, she saw not fear, but hope. They were standing on the precipice of history, ready to fight for a future where truth and freedom prevailed. As the meeting concluded and preparations for the coming battle began in earnest, Elena took a moment to send a secure message to Starfleet Command, knowing it would be weeks before a response could reach them. "We came to Harmony seeking new life and new civilizations. Instead, we found a people in chains, bound by lies and oppression. Tomorrow, we go to battle not just for the freedom of the Zarlian, but for the very principles that define us as explorers and as humans. If we do not return, know that we fought with honor in defense of truth and liberty. But also know this, we intend to win." As the twin suns of Harmony set, casting the landscape in hues of purple and gold, the combined forces of humans and Zarlian prepared for the battle that would decide the fate of an entire world. The air was thick with tension and anticipation. Tomorrow, they would make their stand. Tomorrow, they would fight for freedom. A new beginning. The dawn broke over Harmony, its twin suns casting an ethereal glow across the landscape. In hidden bases scattered across the planet, the combined forces of the human crew and Zarlian resistance made their final preparations. The air was thick with tension, but also with a palpable sense of hope. Elena stood before the assembled troops, a mix of her own crew and Zarlian rebels. Her voice carried across the crowd, steady and resolute. "Today, we fight not just for the freedom of one world, but for the right of all sentient beings to live in truth and dignity. Remember, our strength lies not in our weapons, but in our unity and our conviction. Together, we will reshape the future of Harmony." Thora stepped forward, her eyes blazing with determination. "For too long, our people have lived under the shadow of lies. Today, we reclaim our history, our identity, and our future. Let the elders tremble, for the truth cannot be silenced any longer." As the cheers of the assembled forces rang out, the plan was set into motion. The assault would come in 3 ways. A diversionary attack on the outskirts of the capital to draw out the elders' forces, a stealthy infiltration team led by Zara and Courand to breach the central network, and a main assault force led by Elena, Thora, and Marcus to push towards the heart of the city. The battle began with a series of explosions on the city's perimeter. Resistance fighters, using a combination of Zarlian and human technology, engaged the Elders' security forces in a fierce firefight. As planned, this drew the bulk of the enemy's attention, allowing Zara and Courand's team to slip into the city through ancient maintenance tunnels. Elena and Thora led the main assault force through the chaos of the streets. The city, once a marvel of crystal and light, now echoed with the sounds of energy weapons and the cries of the confused populace. Many civilians, seeing the mixed group of males and females fighting side by side, began to question everything they had been taught. As they pushed deeper into the city, they encountered pockets of resistance from loyal security forces. But for every enemy they faced, they found allies among the populace, Zarlian who had long harbored doubts about their society's structure and were eager to join the fight for truth. Meanwhile, Zara and Karan's team navigated the labyrinthine corridors beneath the central network hub. Their progress was slow, hampered by ancient security systems and the need for absolute stealth. But Karan's intimate knowledge of the facility, combined with Zara's technical expertise, allowed them to overcome each obstacle. As they neared the core of the network, they encountered an unexpected ally, an aged Zarlian technician who introduced herself as one of the original architects of the system. "I've been waiting decades for this moment," she said, her voice quavering with emotion. "Let me help you set our people free." Back on the surface, the battle had reached a fever pitch. Elena and Thora's forces had fought their way to the steps of the Elders' Citadel, the seat of power for the oppressive regime. But as they prepared for the final push, they were met with a sight that stopped them in their tracks. Hundreds of young Zarian, many of them students and workers who had been kept ignorant of their world's true history, formed a human chain before the Citadel. Their voices rang out in unison, demanding answers, demanding the truth. Seizing the moment, Thora stepped forward, her voice carrying across the square. "My sisters, my brothers, hear me. For generations, we have lived under a veil of lies. But today, we stand on the threshold of truth. Join us, and together we will build a future based on unity, not division." Her words, combined with the undeniable evidence of males and females working together, sparked a revolution in the hearts and minds of the gathered Zarlian. The human chain parted, allowing Elena and Thora's forces to enter the Citadel unopposed. Inside, they found the Elders in disarray, that carefully constructed world crumbling around them. Many surrendered without a fight, while others seemed almost relieved that the charade was finally over. At that moment, Zara's voice crackled over the comm system. "Captain, we're in. We have control of the network." With a nod from Elena, Zara activated the planet-wide broadcast system. Kiran's voice, strong and clear, echoed across every corner of Harmony. "People of Harmony, hear the truth. Our society was built on a lie, a cruel experiment forced upon our ancestors. But that experiment is over. We are not meant to live divided but united. Males and females, working together, can create wonders beyond imagination. Look to our allies from Earth for proof. The time has come to reclaim our true heritage and build a future of our own making." As the broadcast continued, revealing the hidden history of Harmony and the existence of the Resistance, the sounds of conflict across the city began to fade. In their place rose a growing chorus of voices, questions, exclamations of disbelief, and eventually cries of joy and liberation. The battle was over, not with a final explosion or a dramatic last stand, but with the quiet, earth-shattering power of truth. In the days that followed, Harmony underwent a profound transformation. The Genesis chambers were repurposed as medical facilities to help reintegrate the hidden male population. The vast knowledge of both the Resistance and the former regime was made available to all citizens, sparking a renaissance of science and culture. Elena and her crew found themselves honored as heroes and sought after advisors in the formation of Harmony's new government. But as the initial chaos of revolution settled into the hard work of rebuilding, they knew their time on this world was coming to an end. On the eve of the Odyssey's departure, a grand ceremony was held in the capital city. Thora, now part of the interim governing council, addressed the assembled crowd, which included Zarlian of all ages and genders, as well as the entire crew of the Odyssey. "Today, we stand at the dawn of a new era for Harmony," Thora proclaimed. "We have reclaimed our past and seized control of our future, and we owe a debt of gratitude to our friends from Earth, who showed us that diversity is not a weakness, but our greatest strength." Elena stepped forward, deeply moved by the transformation she had witnessed. "We came to your world seeking knowledge and friendship. We found both, but we also found something more, a reminder of the universal desire for freedom and truth. As we return to our own world, know that you will always have allies among the stars." As the Odyssey lifted off from Harmony the next day, its crew watched the planet recede in the view screen. The world they were leaving behind was vastly different from the one they had discovered weeks ago. It was a world reborn, full of challenges, but also boundless potential. Elena sat in her captain's chair, composing her final log entry for this historic mission. We set out to explore strange new worlds, and in doing so, we helped liberate one from centuries of oppression. The journey of harmony is far from over, but its people now walk a path of their own choosing. As we set a course for home, I am reminded of why we venture into the unknown, not just to discover new life, but to forge connections that transcend the vastness of space. In helping the Zarine reclaim their freedom, we have reaffirmed our own humanity. And in the grand tapestry of the universe, we have woven a new thread of hope and unity. As the Odyssey jumped to warp, the stars streaked past in a dazzling display. They were heading home, carrying with them not just scientific data and cultural insights, but a profound new understanding of the power of truth, the strength found in diversity, and the universal yearning for freedom that unites all sentient beings across the cosmos. The adventure on Harmony was over, but its impact would ripple through both human and Zarine societies for generations to come. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, other worlds awaited, each with its own mysteries, challenges, and possibilities. For Elena and her crew, the journey of discovery was far from over. It had only just begun.